Alright, so this is my LS swapped E46. I started this project about 8 months ago, and it's pretty close. So, did a full custom exhaust, 3-inch, one muffler, sounds really good. While I had it apart, I did BC coilovers. Shout out BC, they hooked me up. I did subframe reinforcements, solid diff bushings from Condor Speed. I have a shifter. It's a chassis mount now, and I forget which brand handbrake extension, but we've got that. And it's been quite a journey the past 2 weeks. So this is the third time that the engine was in and out of this with it running. So the first one I put together, you'll see a LS1 intake. I had bought an LS1 intake off of a running car and filled the injector. The injectors filled a couple cylinders and I didn't know it. So I spun a main bearing. So this is the block in the crank, and then the piston wall. That's hard to see because everything's oily, but all the cross hatching was gone in the block. So I tore it apart and picked up a short block. And in the middle of getting the short block, I had a buddy give me this block that had a good crank with it. So I put the short block in with everything that I had. I did do a new oil pump since I spun a bearing on this one, and then a couple other things, just gaskets and whatnot. Just put it together, start it, great oil pressure, no problem. And then go down the road, loses all oil pressure, lifter starts sounding like a sewing machine. Pull back in, defeated as all get out. So this was on Thursday of last week. It's Tuesday. So tear it apart. I'm like, what did I do? So this is the other main bearing on the crank, and this is the actual bearing, but it did not spin in the block. So you can see that the locating tang is still there. So it didn't spin in the block. So this block is good, has good main journals and good cam journals, but you can see where the rings were sitting. These gouges are like 5 thousandths thick. This thing needs bored over at least 10 thousandths. So another project for another day. I'm giving this block back to Hadley, who gave me this block. He just needs something for mock-up. So what did I do? I took the crank that came with that block, put it into that block with the existing rods, measured everything with plastic gauge, and it all measured good. The end mains, this main and this main, were both on the tighter end of the scale. The spec is 0.0008 to 0.0025, and the end mains were 0.0010. So right there on the line. Put it together, had zero confidence in it working, and it works, which is crazy. So I did connecting rod bearings and main bearings, put it together with a Melling M10 295 pump, which is the high PSI standard volume, and I put it together, Go out and I drive it like 6 miles, and oil pressure starts to drop off after a couple minutes of driving. And I'm like, what's going on? So, change the oil, tons of metal in it. Cut the filters open. Not looking good. Put 10W30 in it again. And go out and drive it, and I get about 20 miles on it, and the oil pressure starts to drop off. So it goes from 45, 50 down to 20, and then it starts bouncing. And in an LS, that's still technically good, but when I was revving it, it wasn't following the revs. It was actually going down, which is what concerned me the most. So, changed the oil again. This time I went to 5W30. I just had a little theory that, well, what if the oil's not draining back fast enough? Maybe the 5W30 will help clean anything out since it's a little thinner. Who knows? I was just shooting for the stars. So this is the third oil change, and at this point I put a manual gauge on the car and bypassed the Holly, because the Holly was crazy bouncing, and I just wanted a manual gauge to look at and confirm. So third oil change, 5W30, and the pressure drop off almost disappeared. If I were to hang it sideways or rip on it during a pull, the pressure would start to drop again. It didn't go as low, and it took longer to get there. I think at this point probably had 50 miles on this oil, the 5W30 oil. So I was like, I'm gonna change the oil one more time, and if it's still bad, I'm just gonna drive it until it blows up, and then I'm gonna get a long block on Sunday and kind of build it into a drop-in replacement with a new cam, probably reuse the lifters and a new oil pump. It's from a buddy. It's got good mileage, should be good. So that's the plan. But I had several people tell me to put 20W50 in the car and see what it does, and I was like, whatever. At this point, I'm out $100 in oil, maybe. I mean, I buy it from Walmart, and it's significantly cheaper than anywhere else. I think I did buy 2 of them at Advance because they had a deal. You get an oil change for like $35, so I did that twice. And then the 20W50 came from Walmart, and it was like $23 for 5 quarts. So I did that stuff. It says racing and classic cars designed specifically for pushrod engines. That's pretty cool. I had little hope, but the people that told me about it, I had confidence in. So I was like, whatever. I'll listen to you guys, see what's up. Put it together, and what do you know it? It's acting normal. So I changed it yesterday. I drove around the block, 60 psi oil pressure the whole time. Crazy. Hadn't even seen that yet. And then today, I drove it to work. 0 drop off. I mean, my commute's only 2 miles, so I didn't get that far. But I did rip on it. I did yank her sideways. No drop. I'm like, So, drove it home on lunch. I moved some vehicles around because I was getting a windshield put in it today, and I needed the driveway clear. And did that. Drove back to work. Drove home, and oil pressure is great. I had 60 psi, kind of drops down to 45 at idle. And then went and picked up my boys from daycare. Again, the same deal, no pressure drop. Probably about 25 minutes of driving and idling. Definitely up to 10. It was like up to temp. It was like 100 degrees today. So temp is not an issue. It was fully up to temp. And I did some pulls. I got on Route 7. I did a pull. I did a 3rd gear pull, and PSI went from 55 to 80, which is crazy. Now that I do have the higher pressure pump, so That's why it's hitting 80. But it didn't drop off. It didn't do nothing. So probably have 15 miles on the oil, maybe 20. I'm going to drive to Berryville tomorrow. I got to get this little trailer tagged and titled. Well, I have the title. I just need to transfer it. And then go pick up an engine Sunday. Kind of build into a backup. But that thing's working pretty good. So I do have to fix a couple things on it. The radiator is leaking. I tried to JB weld it. It did not work. This is a factory radiator. There's a crack there. I'm using a pusher fan and then the OEM fan wired into the Holley that is tucked into there. Truck alternator, BMW fire steering pump, BMW AC compressor, which I have to figure out the wiring. I have a CAN box in there that has seen my AC requests, but it's not working. So I got to dive into that. But yeah, we got LS1 intake, Holley's 24-pound injectors. So they're 24-pound at 43 psi, and at the 60 psi, which this rail is set for, is around 28, 29. Car drives great. I need to adjust the cold start enrichment, hot start enrichment. I'm having a hard time starting it in the middle of the day. Like it's really fat, so I need to bring the fuel table down. That's the only thing that the Holley doesn't self-tune is your restarts. Once it starts, it's fine and it doesn't shut off. It's just getting there and it's real fat, so gotta adjust that. But I can't even believe it works, to be honest. I mean, Thursday night I had the crank out of this block in my hands, measuring for new bearings, torqued it all together, did it with the pistons and head still on, left the cam in. I did look at the bearings and they looked good. Peeked at what lifters I could, and it all looked good. So Friday at 4 I started it, and it's been working ever since. So yeah, pretty crazy 2 weeks. I was waiting on some parts before I could drive it the first time around, which was 2 Tuesdays ago. So 2 weeks today. That's when I lost oil pressure the first time. Tore it out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think I was done Sunday. Tinkered with it Monday, and then tried to drive it back to work Tuesday and lost oil pressure again. Or Thursday. Thursday night, fixed it. Friday, had it running. Saturday, took it to a car cruise in here in town. Sunday, took it to Cars and Coffee. We were sitting at like 150 miles since Friday, and it's still together, which is mind-boggling. There's 3 different engines all together, working in harmony. That's LS's for you. They really don't care. But this next one, I'm not going to open up. I'm just going to roll it over, pull the push rods, get the lifters into the trays, slide the cam out, inspect it, obviously, look at everything, put a new cam in, put a new oil pump on, and call it a day. And then just have it sit here in the corner until I blow that one up, which is probably never going to blow up because it just is what it is. So I haven't done a YouTube update, which is what this is. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. See you next time.